Largest of the Finger Lakes. That's the proximity of where Watkins Glen International is in comparison to Seneca Lake, as the cars are gridded on pit road, about ready to take on round number one. Let's get a closer look, though, at this racetrack, this 2.45-mile road course with Parker Klickerman.
We're here in turn one at Watkins Glen doing a track walk. And at F1 or IndyCar, the teams and drivers will walk the track to scout it for changes. Never is this more important than when you have a repave such as we have here. Gone is the wore-out surface and concrete patches, and in a smooth surface that has a lot of speed. And those changes for the drivers start here, right in the center of turn one. You'll be in second gear, accelerating towards the S's and into the long back straightaway. As you enter the bottom of the S's, you'll shift up to third and potentially be flat out. But as you come to where I'm standing now, it's a blind X in the corner where you'll be shifting to fourth into one of the most narrow portions of the racetrack. You'll be coming down the back straightaway at over 170 miles an hour, braking as hard as you can to second gear and entering the bus stop using every inch of those entrance curves. But as you come to where I am right now, this has become one of the biggest challenges for the drivers. The reason being that the curve is felt to be raised and a little bit more aggressive, and you can see that from where the cars have actually bottomed out as they come over this curve. That has been very unsettling for the race cars. We're now here on the X of the carousel, and in years past, you would short shift up to third gear and find yourself just your left sides a little bit over this exit curve. But now, with the repave and the new profile of this curve and this expanded runoff, the drivers find themselves using every inch of this runoff, as you can see from the tire marks out here. This gives them a massive run onto the straightaway. I'm here on the exit of the last corner and the entrance to pit road. And the challenge here is the speed you'll be carrying through this last corner. Drivers have said that with the repave and the added grip, they're carrying a lot more speed onto the front straightaway. But for drivers that are pitting, it's going to be very tough to get down to pit road speed by the first timing lap. It's these challenges that should make this one of the fastest and most exciting races we've ever seen at Watkins Glen.
Great perspective of the elevation changes, the different nuances of this racetrack that these drivers have to deal with. And as we mentioned just moments ago, it's a green racetrack now because of the rains that came yesterday. All the rubber more or less washed off of this track, so they'll be going onto a green racetrack for the next 25 minutes of this first round.
Yeah, Parker did such a good job of getting down on the racetrack and showing how rough the bumps actually are. The elevation changes here, major elevation changes here. This inner loop, it is a sharp corner. You try to make it as straight as possible, but you know, as we see these cars running on these curves, they're big, they're tall, and they really upset the car.
Well, that's what makes it so difficult. It's not just being in the right line through the inner loop. It's how you hit the curves, how much wheel do you have in it. You see all of this footage of these cars. This is Clint Boyer going straight over that curve, trying to get lined up for the next curve. Look how rough it is. The 48 of Jimmy Johnson. He's going to take all four tires to driver right. Basically jumps the curve like a ramp. That's entering the bus stop of the inner loop, trying to make it, as you mentioned, Jeff, as straight as possible. But it's not that easy with these big, rough curves to go over.
One of the things that impresses me about the inner loop here is the change of speed. They're going over 180 miles an hour at the top of that straightaway, and they'll get down to 90 miles an hour in the middle of that bus loop. So a 90-mile-an-hour change of pace.
Well, and you talk about speed. Well, speed at Watkins Glen is key, and it all starts right here in turn two, coming up to S's. As you barrel up into turn one, accelerate out of turn one of the slowest corners on the racetrack, probably the slowest corner on the racetrack, then it's basically how much throttle can you commit to up the S's. You have to get out of gas for turn two, but then the middle S, the top S, and onto that long back straightaway, as you mentioned, Rick, over 180 miles an hour. All that speed is generated all the way down here at the bottom of the hill.
And one little lift with the throttle, when somebody else doesn't have to lift the throttle, that multiplies itself over the length of the long back straightaway. So that back straightaway speed, if you roll through those S's, it really, really helps you getting into that inner loop.
One of the other things that we heard yesterday, Kyle Larson in Xfinity Series qualifying referenced the fact he was excited to be able to come over to the Xfinity Series qualifying and that car because not as quick as the Cup cars. There's so much more horsepower in these Cup cars. These guys are really pushing it on every single turn, every straightaway.
Yeah, these Cup cars, they're heavy, they're way high horsepower. I mean, these are beasts, and they are very difficult to get around this racetrack. You have to just drive them. You have to manhandle them, get everything out of it you can.
And remember, the last time they were on the track, yesterday afternoon for practice, the rains came, totally different track.